You know something? The reality you trust must be a lie. Let's get into it, shall we? Imagine this. It's 1799. A young lad by the name of Caspar Hauser appears out of nowhere on the streets of Nuremberg in Germany. No warning, no backstory. He's practically a walking ghost. No clue where he's from, barely able to speak. It's like that one relative who shows up uninvited for the family reunion, but with no memory of how they even got there. Sounds like a dream, doesn't it? But not the fun kind, more the nightmare kind. Now picture this. You've been locked away in a tiny dark room for your entire life. No human interaction, no sights, no sounds, just you, alone, with nothing but your thoughts and, let's be honest, a few questionable life choices. Sounds like a spa retreat, if you ask me, if the spa was in the Twilight Zone. When Casper finally steps outside and is handed objects, he has no idea what they are. They show him a mirror, and he's staring back at this like, who the hell is that? He doesn't even recognize himself. Not a clue about the outside world around him. He's like a lost tourist with no map, wandering around looking for the nearest exit. And here's where it gets interesting. Within months, Casper somehow figures it all out. True story. He adopts a name, learns a language, and even gets a grip on the concept of history. His brain starts to fill in the blanks, creating an identity, a narrative, especially a personal origin story. It's like watching someone discover the main character in a movie, and it happens so fast you think he'd had a cheat code for life. But here's the kicker. You were born into a similar reality. From the moment you open your eyes, you were handed the script. This is your name. This is your family. This is your world. This is real. No questions asked. Crazy, huh? It's like being handed a part in a play you didn't audition for, but you just go along with it because, well, what else are you supposed to do? It's like the Matrix, but without the cool leather jackets. Now, what if I told you none of it is real? What if everything you know, the world you trust, is just a cleverly crafted story your brain is telling you? Because the thing is, everything you experience, every sight, sound, smell, and touch, it's happening inside your head. You think you're seeing the world as it is? Not even close. Your brain is just guessing it. It's like your Wi-Fi signal, a bit dodgy, prone to glitches, and entirely unreliable. Look around. That thing you're staring at, it's not reality. It's just light bouncing off stuff, processed by your brain, which thinks it knows what's going on. But in reality, it's just creating a version of the world for you to consume. And as for your hearing, those sounds, just vibrations in the air that your brain slaps a label on so you can pretend you understand. Touch, that's just electrical signals telling you what you're feeling is solid. But who says that's true? You might as well be a character in a Christopher Nolan film, lost in a dream within a dream. Let's pause for a moment here. I want you to reflect on this. The world you're experiencing right now is not happening in the present. Your brain takes its sweet time processing everything. So when you think you're experiencing something in real time, you're actually living a fraction behind reality. It's like you're at a concert watching the show, but you're always a second behind the beat. The world's moving forward, but your brain is just playing catch up. Now we're diving deep into the juicy stuff, the mind's little tricks. Your mind is like a dodgy internet browser, constantly optimizing your reality. But here's the twist. Your brain's not showing the world as it truly is. It's creating a projection based on past experiences, guesses, and what it assumes should be there. It's like that film Inception, except you never realize you're stuck in a dream. The dream you're living is not real. It's just a mental construct designed to make sense of the chaos around you. And here's an even spookier thought. When you have a thought, it's not actually coming from your conscious mind. Nope. Your brain's already decided what you're going to think before you even know it. Free will? Just an illusion. That's right. You're not actually in charge. Your brain is playing puppet master. And you, my dear friend, are just along for the ride. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic philosopher, once said, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events." Well, it turns out you don't even have full power over your own mind. That little brain of yours is calling the shots. Remember our friend Caspar Hauser, the guy who created his own reality from scratch? That's what your mind does all the time. Fills in the blanks. It creates meaning, whether there's any meaning to be found or not. The mind is just constantly churning out stories, interpreting the world in ways that feel real to you, even though they may not be. But here's the million-dollar question. If reality is just a projection, who's the real you in all of this? And if none of this is real, if it's all smoke and mirrors, then what happens when you stop believing in the illusion? Who are you really? This isn't new, you know. Friedrich Neistat, our good old German friend with a moustache, who wouldn't have been allowed near your Christmas family dinners, he once said, "There are no facts, only interpretations." He wasn't talking about your mate's obsession with pineapple on pizza. He was questioning the very nature of existence. Everything you know is coloured by your mind. An unreliable, often overambitious storyteller. Now, let's talk perception. One thing you think you have control over, yet it's not really under your command at all. Your brain's a chaotic orchestra, all different voices competing for attention. And every so often, one voice emerges and says, "Ah, this is me." But here's the thing. That voice, the one that claims to be you, is just a thought. It's like Jekyll and Hyde. You think you know who you are, but really, you're just flicking between different personalities without a say in the matter. The greatest trick your brain plays on you is convincing you that you're the one unified self, but in reality, you're just a collection of thoughts. The you think you are, is just another thought in the mix. Like a bad sitcom, where everyone guest stars, but no one gets top billing. And here's another kicker. You don't even have control over your emotions. Anger, it just appears like an uninvited guest at a party. Desires, they just show up. No RSVP needed. Fears, again, no invite required. Buddhists call it anatia, the doctrine of no self. The Hindus, they call it maya, the illusion of the material world. Modern science, finally catching up, but it's not quite as poetic. Yourself, just a story. And as any good story goes, It can be rewritten. The moment you realize that the thoughts you're having are just passing clouds, that's when the magic happens. You aren't the thinker, you're the observer. You're the quiet witness, the quiet awareness behind the noise. You were there all along, just waiting to wake up from the dream. Now, hold on tight, because this is where the plot thickens. Your brain doesn't record reality like a trusty camcorder. Oh no. It creates what it expects to be there. Think of it like a flawed editor at a film studio, always tweaking the footage to fit the narrative. This is why eyewitness accounts are notoriously unreliable. Your brain doesn't show you the world as it is. It shows you what it thinks should be there. And of course, it's got a huge bias. Past experiences, they act like filters through which you see everything, often shaping your perception into something wildly inaccurate. This means that your mind doesn't offer an objective view of reality. Instead, it serves you a carefully curated version, like the world's most elaborate behind-the-scenes tour. And here's the juicy bit. You don't even know it's happening. You're living in a movie, and someone forgot to tell you it's fiction. So, the question is, if your mind is constantly shaping reality, how can you be sure that anything is real? What happens when you stop believing in the story your brain is telling you? Let's test this theory. There's a classic philosophical or psychological even experiments from the 90s where participants were asked to count how many times a group of people passed a basketball. Midway through the video, a person in a gorilla suit casually walked through the scene, waved, and then left. When asked afterward if they'd seen anything unusual, more than half didn't even notice the gorilla. How is that possible? They saw the gorilla, their eyes detected it, but their brains simply deleted it because it wasn't part of the narrative they were focused on. This is a small scale example of how your brain constantly filters out information, shaping your reality without you even realizing it. Now, imagine if your entire perception of life, your beliefs, your sense of self was just another one of those filters. What if right now, as you watch, listen to this, your mind is filtering out massive chunks of reality. Your brain is letting certain things through while blocking the rest. And that's the real kicker. How much are we missing because our minds are conditioned to ignore it all? Once you see through the illusion, you can't unsee it. There's that moment when you step outside the mental filters and suddenly the world shifts. Have you ever argued with someone only to realize they saw the same situation differently, completely differently, or remembered something one way only to later discover the details were entirely off, or believed with absolute certainty only to wake up years later and wonder how you ever thought that way in the first place? That's the illusion in action. It's not that reality is fake, it's that your mind is showing you a tiny fraction of it. And more disturbing still, it's selectively filtering out anything that doesn't fit with the story you already believe. Your brain doesn't just edit reality, it decides what is real and what isn't. That's why dreams can feel so real, even when they're utterly bizarre. Your brain fills in the blanks so convincingly that you never question it until, of course, you wake up. What if waking life is just another layer of that dream? Your brain is constantly confabulating, filling in the gaps with details that never happened. Ever thought you remembered something only to realize it didn't happen the way you thought? That's what it is. Confabulation. A fancy term for when your brain makes stuff up to fill in the blanks. It's not lying. It's just prioritizing a coherent story over truth. Here's the big question. What happens when you start seeing through the illusion of the reality? Well, you realize everything you know, your successes, your failures, your opinions, isn't just recorded by your mind, it's shaped into a narrative. And when something doesn't fit that narrative, your mind doesn't ignore it, it rewrites it. The moment you see how your mind constructs reality, how it fills in the gaps and creates the illusion of coherence, everything shifts. Brain scans have shown that when we make decisions, our brains have already decided before we're even aware of it. So, if you're not controlling your thoughts, then who is? The second you realize this, you stop being a passenger. You stop being a passenger in your own life. You stop reacting on autopilot. You start observing, watching the illusions unfold instead of being trapped in it. That's the turning point. You begin to question everything. And once you've seen the cracks in the facade, they never quite disappear. But don't take my word for it. Go ahead, dive deeper, and see the next video, and remember, the illusion doesn't let go easily. It'll keep trying to pull you back in. So the real question is, are you ready to see the truth?